You are now tuned in to the Sanja Ganja Show, where we talk about being a productive pothead and doing epic things in our industry. Today I have a really dank guest, Amos, who owns MJs here in Texas. And we are going to get down and grinding about hemp flower, hemp oil, his product, his line, all the amazing things he's been doing. And we're also going to touch on other topics like terps versus cannabinoids and what are your opinions on that in the future. So let's get right into it and talk about you, because I appreciate you and all you do. Tell us about MJs and all of the great things you've done, Amos.
Dope. So my name is Amos Lozano. I am the CEO and founder of MJs Hemp. We specialize in CBD pre-rolled joints packaged in either hemp cardboard or hemp paper, or also hemp plastic. So for us, it's really important to teach people about the whole plant and not just stay hyper-focused on CBD or even THC, but teaching people that cannabis is so much more than just those two components, that it's also sustainable packaging, sustainable plastic, sustainable apparel, sustainable fuel, sustainable building material, a bunch of different industrial things that a lot of people never knew about cannabis, and is really the root of how this plant became so controversial in the first place.
It's amazing because there's not a lot of people out there right now that are focused on 100% of their brand being organic. And not because they don't want to, but mostly because they can't afford to, because it's not really like it's just cheap. You can go buy it from Walmart, but you know, it is a little bit more elaborate than just packaging it up in your average cone or what have you. So kudos to you and what your company's doing, because it's helping us go more green, so to speak, literally pun intended. And, you know, it's helping educate people on what's healthy for you and your body and the earth at the same time, which is really what I like about your theme. Because we're not just helping us, we're helping the world too, which is really, really cool. And you are also a very healthy person. You have a lot of activities, which I want to talk about because you're a productive, you know, consumer, I should say. You know, you use a lot of CBD in your daily life. And, you know, what are some of the ways that you use CBD besides your joints, too?
Yeah. I mean, smoking CBD flower is the main way that I consume CBD. Every now and then I have a CBD cold brew coffee in the morning from Flora and Fortitude. But I also like to have some tinctures here and there. Yeah. But for me, smoking does the trick. So 90% of the time, it's flower.
Yeah. You know, I like the coffee ideas. I'm not going to lie. I saw it coming years ago, but I personally have a hard time liking the taste. Just sometimes they're not blended right. I haven't tried that brand. What was that brand called again?
Flora and Fortitude.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to try them then, because I know there's like a lot of medicated espresso beans and, you know, all these cool little things you can get for coffee, but I really haven't tried too many coffee cannabis, you know, or CBD combos yet. Mm-hmm. So what is it about MJs besides your culture that really you think is going to give you the upper hand in Texas, at least, so to say?
Yeah, I'd say so. Obviously, our focus on the industrial aspects of the plant is something that very few CBD companies and brands are focusing on. So that's something that really distinguishes us, and making sure that our packaging is that way and educating people about the industrial side, the hemp history side. But also something that I've noticed in this journey in the past year so far is, unfortunately, we're one of the few that are actually from the cannabis culture, from the cannabis community. Because a lot of the people that are getting into the CBD game right now are older business people, and a lot of them understand business, but most of them don't understand cannabis and cannabis culture. And so I think that's something that also helps differentiate us.
I like how you're kind of mixing the two. I always love to preach about that, because one thing, if you're trying to get into the industry, please understand that you have to have, you know, a business sense mixed with, you know, your stoner tendencies. You need to have both. And for those of you who are getting into the cannabis world and you come from business, you need to make sure you have that influence as well. This way you're just getting the full spectrum of everything. So I do like that. I appreciate that. So being from Texas and living here, what do you think are going to be some challenges that you're going to see coming up? Since CBD is not fully regulated yet all the way, what do you think are going to be some challenges you might have? Or maybe you don't see any at all?
So some of the biggest challenges is definitely just regulations and getting more clarity on what we will and won't be able to do going forward, how we'll be able to market our products, and what won't and will be allowed. So I would say that the culture has surprisingly shifted really quickly over the past, I would say 2 to 3 years, whereas just 3 years ago, it was difficult to have an open conversation about cannabis in a public place.
Yeah.
But now it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And people really don't care about it. And I think a big part of that is the CBD trend that has been blowing up, not just in America, but specifically in San Antonio. It's been ridiculously explosive. So like when I first started supplying hemp flower in the San Antonio area, it was for Alamo Botanicals, and they were the first store to open up in Texas. There was like a CBD specific store, and that was maybe coming up on 2 years ago. And now there's got to be at least 60 or 70 specific retail locations. And I have not seen or found another city where the retail side is that explosive. And it's like every week you hear of another CBD store opening up. So because of all of this retail action happening, there's a lot of education that is happening, and the stigma surrounding the plant are starting to break down amongst just the general population in Texas. But now it's getting the legislature and the politicians on board and making them realize that the people in the community have shifted what we want and what we find acceptable.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and I really think you have a lot to do with that. You know, you've been doing this for a long time in this community, even before it was cool, like you were saying. So for you to be able to advocate for that for so long, keep going, and then you just keep rising and rising, it's good. You know, we need more of that. But I do like to talk about the politics of it all, because, you know, we accidentally legalized it here, and there's all these different regulations right now, and then there's not regulations, and they're not even requiring lab testing results for CBD that is being sold out here, correct? Or has that changed? I'm pretty sure not everyone's doing it.
It's not. The regulations have not came out yet. The official rules for how they're going to regulate the Texas hemp industry has not come out yet.
Yeah.
So the short answer is no.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard. You know, coming from Colorado and Oregon, where we, you know, been doing it for a long time, you have the metric system, which is completely controlled by the MED, or the Marijuana Enforcement Division, and they basically can track every seed, every ounce, everything you drop, every gram. You know, and I see the same thing happening for CBD. And plus, that's more money for computer companies and, you know, POS systems and things like that. But I do see that happening. I think the biggest thing that Texans are scared of is to not Californicate Texas, which I understand, because you don't want to raise property and taxes and all these different things that come with people moving here. But I think there's a way to prevent that. And if we keep advocating for that, I think we can prevent that from happening for sure. So what do you think is the most important thing to know about CBD education or hemp education then?
Yeah, for me, it's really shifting the conversation to not really focusing just on CBD.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, all those retail brands are opening up, and they're doing a fantastic job of educating people on CBD.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to focus on is, let's educate about the history of hemp, that this country was literally built on the industrial side of hemp. The first American flag was stitched on hemp fibers. The original draft of the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. Rudolph Diesel built the diesel engine to run off of vegetable-based biofuels, including hemp biofuel. So getting back to these historical facts that for political and corporate reasons we were never taught when we took American history growing up in elementary and middle school and high school. We were never taught once about industrial hemp, and yet it had a huge role in establishing this country and our economy. And that's really what I think is the most important, because that's the reason why this plant became illegal in the first place. It was because it threatened those industries, and they just used marijuana to demonize the plant as a whole so they can make the entire plant illegal. Right. So it's all about getting back to the roots of why this plant is illegal, and also back to the roots of what it means to be an American.
Viva la plant! That was so good. I love it because it's nothing but truth, truth, truth. I mean, at some point you have to start scratching your head and asking, what are we doing? Because we have a sea of like plastic trash. Why is that happening when we have hemp and we have all these other alternatives? You know, and you're absolutely right. The answer to that is influences by corporations and other financial institutes that had control over that. And so, yeah, it's discouraging, but it's also a way to empower us to do more.
For sure.
Absolutely, which is why you have this epic brand now. I love these joints. So MJs is one of the first joints that I ever smoked when I got to Texas, actually. And
Dope.
we were walking around downtown, and we were like, should we stop and try this right now? And we sure did. That instant, we didn't even realize we smoked it because we had already walked half of the river walk. And we were like, whoa, where are we? What are we doing? Are we hungry? And we're like, why do we feel high? Although it's a pure CBD joint, it's just very good quality. Mm-hmm. And it had such a good effect on our mood. It enhanced our body high and everything. So, yeah, I mean, when you have quality like that, you should be able to speak volumes to your community, for mm-hmm. sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. So let's talk about cannabis and hemp a little bit. You know, terps versus the type of cannabinoid. I want to talk about if hemp will ever have those type of categories, sativa, hybrid, indica. Will we ever be able to dissect the types of terpenes that are in the actual hemp flower and the science? Do you ever see that happening here in the near future?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll get as diverse and robust as medical and recreational cannabis. It's already starting to happen. You know, like we send terp tests because we want to see like what are the influences happening in this plant. And a lot of consumers at this point are just barely learning about terpenes. Mm-hmm. But the more they become educated on it, it's going to play a big role in which strains and which joint packs they should purchase from us, depending on what they're trying to use it for.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be cool if we could just dissect the type of CB, whatever it is. There's CBG. There's so many different things, so many different elements to the plant. So it would be nice if we could showcase that. You know, there's different elements to that help with epilepsy versus anxiety versus, you know, whatever you have. So yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. THC University in Colorado right now is trying to dissolve the words sativa, hybrid, and indica right now because it's only about the terpenes and the percentage. Mm-hmm. And, you know, to a point, I agree with that. But sativa, hybrid, and indica is a good way to... It's old school, and it is a good way to use it as a map.
Yeah.
I think it's also just more for genetics, if anything. So, you know, talking more about hemp now, do you really feel that not just Texans, everyone who has CBD... Do you feel that they're really getting the full benefits from these companies? And when I say that, do you feel they're being diluted or maybe not truthful with their CBD products?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's who knows how many thousands and thousands of CBD brands and companies that just popped up overnight. And a lot of them are definitely not legit. Yeah. They're just hopping on the money train. And it's hard to blame them, but at the same time, it's also easy to blame them to say like, yo, operate with some ethics, operate with some morality. But the problem is like what I mentioned earlier, most of them are not from the cannabis community and culture, and they don't understand what quality is. But also, they're just trying to capitalize on the fact that people will buy almost anything that just says CBD on it without really knowing what's in it. And unfortunately, at this time in the industry, there's not enough regulation to actually show that this is a legit product. And so the legitimate companies and brands in the industry right now, we want regulation. We want to be regulated. A players like to be measured. Yep. That's just the truth, whether you're talking about a brand or you're talking about individuals. But we want that, and because it's going to point out the companies that are not legit, and it's also going to give us some clarity on how we need to operate. So there definitely are brands out there that are diluting and maybe not even putting CBD in their products.
That's the scariest part, too. You know, there's all kinds of substitutes that are being used, like sap that comes from a tree out in China. And they're saying just because it tests at some scientific level like CBD, it's CBD. But it's not, you know. So it is scary because some of those things can give you a reaction that's dangerous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is all about the education. Mm-hmm. So since we've been talking about all this dreary stuff, let's get into something funny. So I want to talk about the first time you ever smoked weed. Do you have anything goofy that ever happened, or maybe just your first time ever? And then I'll tell you one of mine.
Yeah. I guess I have two quick things that come to mind. The first time I ever smoked cannabis, I was 15 years old in a ditch down the street from my house out of a can. And it was cool, but it was nothing like crazy or significant. It was just like a fun night with my friends. But the first time I ever dabbed, like high quality dabs. I took like 3 dabs, and each one was increasingly stronger than the last one. And I was at a friend's apartment that I had never been to his apartment before, and it was just me and him chilling, and we actually made the dabs ourselves.
Yeah.
And then like out of nowhere, right? I'm like, okay, I'm like for sure the highest I've ever been. And I'm like chilling. I'm like, okay, let me just breathe and just like hang out with my friend G. Like we're just having a good time. All of a sudden, front door opens, like 12 people come in. I have no idea who they are. And I just start like freaking out. And that's the only time I've ever thrown up from like using cannabis.
Well, yeah, you did 3 dabs in a row.
Yeah.
I can't believe
And
that.
each one was stronger than the last.
And your friend your friend let that happen.
Not only did he let me, he was like, yo, we just refined this. You got to test it now. And I'm like, that sounds right. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I used to officially be like the first to give out dabs to dab versions, I like to call them, you know, and I would just tell them, you're going to have to spend the night after this. You know, like I had someone like pee their pants before on my couch, and someone just passed out with my dog Chiba on the bed. I'm like, okay, like whatever. Yeah, it's hilarious. So one of the most embarrassing ones for me, this is the most embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I was a manager, a GM of a dispensary. I was like the boss lady. And I'm just ecstatic. I have a team. I'm like killing it. We're making money. Everything's cool. Well, back then, we were allowed to eat our samples in our dispensary. So in our dispensary, we would get tons and tons of samples on a daily basis from all these companies. And I would spread them out equally to all the staff. Well, that day, my lupus was acting up. I was hurting. So I said, you know what? I'm going to eat one. And back then, we were allowed. Not now. In Colorado, it's illegal. I ate one, and I lied. I told the biggest lie of my life to my entire staff because I was so high I couldn't keep my eyes open. Everyone was so scared they were going to call 911. I couldn't keep them open. They were like literally like closed, and they were just so heavy I couldn't move. And my dreads were like this big. So I'm
Baby
like,
dreads.
Yeah, it looks like Coolio. I'm just like, can't open my eyes. I couldn't keep my neck up. It was just crazy. But I felt great. I felt wonderful. But I was slurring my words, and I told the biggest lie ever. I told them I had the worst allergies, and it was not
Classic.
allergies. It was 55 milligrams of an entire pretzel, chocolate covered pretzel stick.
That's a heavy dose.
Yeah, that company is no longer around. But it's hilarious. So now they have changed the rules. You can no longer medicate while you're working. In Oregon, you can actually medicate in a secret designated area in your dispensary. And
For the employees?
Yeah, the employees. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it.
Interesting.
That was like the only question I failed on the test to get your marijuana badge out there. So I was like, no, you can't smoke. Got that wrong, so.
Interesting.
Well, good. I'm glad you shared that because not everybody wants to share their little stories. So when you have an embarrassing moment like that from smoking weed, usually all I can do is reminisce, and I usually just share it later on as a story. So, you know, I am completely appreciative of you being here, and I want to talk more about what you do as being a productive pothead. So you used to own a company that involved being a healthy eater and juices and vegetables and things like that. And so going with that theme, you also do, is it parkour? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I obviously would not know. You do parkour, and you also are a performer.
Acrobat.
Thank you.
I'm a ninja, basically, or like sums it all up.
That's probably the easiest word, ninja. And so before you do all those things, do you ever utilize cannabis or CBD before, or do you feel it's just too much?
Yeah. So I'll usually use, since I discovered hemp flower, that's usually what I use. Yeah. I used to use some THC sometimes before, but now it's primarily CBD because it helps me focus, it helps me get in the zone. And so definitely before doing parkour particularly is probably my favorite. Yeah. Like I'll smoke a joint before, and then I'll go have a session down by the Riverwalk.
That's crazy because I've seen you do it and you're completely upside down. I'm like, I don't even know. It must feel like you're on a roller coaster. All right, it's time for truth or dab.
Truth.
All right, truth or dab. Which one?
Truth.
Okay, so here we go. When you smoke CBD or your joints, when you spill your ashes, do you truly clean them, or do you just blow them or just wipe them away and leave them?
I guess it depends on if I'm inside or outside.
Oh, if you're inside, let's
That-
say inside.
Then I definitely clean it.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're a clean toker.
Yeah.
Most people don't. Even I am Chloe hates when I do this. My fiance will kill me. I literally will sometimes just blow it away real quick, and I think Chiba will lick it up, which is probably not safe. So, okay, good. So let's play another game. Okay, would you rather? All right, so this one was specifically made for you. Would you rather grow pot with Oprah, or would you rather grow pot with Bill Gates?
Definitely Bill Gates. Yeah.
You think you'll make more money?
Not even that. I think I'll learn more.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I could see him having more intellect on something like this. I feel like Oprah would just be behind you like, I have done that before.
Oprah would be fun, but Bill Gates would be like super productive and like knowledgeable, and he would have like a way different way of like doing shit.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Okay, what about, would you rather? Let's see. No, I got a new one. This one just popped up randomly. Have you ever, we're going to change it up.
Okay.
Have you ever been overly high on a date or with your current girl and just completely ruined things?
No, nothing comes to mind.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you're just a smooth operator over here.
I think so. Well, as long as I don't dab, I'll probably be good.
Okay, there you go. That's the trick. That's the trick.
That's the trick.
I have definitely passed out. I have definitely had moments,
On a date?
On a date, afterwards you get home, you're like thinking it's about to go down, just pass out.
Damn.
It's definitely happened for sure. Chloe will kill me if I do that, but it happens. It's even happened on our anniversary last year. So I'm like dabbed out. We're just having a great time. 9 o'clock comes. I'm an old man. I'm out. I'm done. So, all right. So now that we did the truth or dare and we did would you rather, how about we do being a productive pothead? Let's get back to that, because you have so much stuff that you're doing. You also do it with your significant other. So I'm curious, does she utilize CBD at all as well?
For sure. Yeah, she smokes the joints.
So you guys, with all the athletic stuff you do, it's pretty much on a daily basis. And I know you do like all these like cool like routines and detoxes, and you give me ideas all the time. So do you guys have to use stuff for your joints and
I do, yeah, especially my
sores?
knee. Yeah, so like after competing in Ninja Warrior, yeah, you heard that? After I competed in 2017, I actually blew out my knee and I had ACL surgery. So like to this day, I still get like aches and pains and stuff like that from training. So I do use a CBD topical.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many things that I use. It's honestly to a point where my whole cabinet is full. Like, it's unbelievable. The mirror in my bedroom, it's just all weed. I have a whole drawer.
Arsenal.
Weed. Yep, just all CBD, all weed. I use it faithfully at all times. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crucial. Crucial tools.
Yeah. So tell us about some really big things that you have going on, because I know that there's so much in store for MJs. So tell us all the big things that you have for the roster in 2020 and all these great things that are going to be happening for you.
Yeah, so first things that come to mind is our retail showroom is opening up, and that's at Warehouse 5 right next to Shotgun Roasters near downtown San Antonio. So people have been asking us for a long time, like, when are we going to have our own spot where people can come and get joints directly from us and learn from us directly, and now we got that. And really just expanding the brand. So we've pretty much been in Texas mostly. There's a couple shops out of Texas, but we really want to push outside of Texas and start really driving sales outside of Texas, because for us, it's about increasing the demand of the hemp paper, which makes our packaging. So the more units we can sell, the more we can buy from our hemp packaging manufacturer, which is going to increase the demand for hemp paper, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, your passion and your drive and your mission is why we need to spread the word, because we'll just create new little weed dominions like us, and they'll just create more cool stuff, and it's just going to be a nice weedful world. So say that 3 times fast, you guys.
Tongue twister for sure.
So where can everybody find you if they wanted to get online right now and follow you? Where should they go for all of your stuff?
For sure. So pretty much all the platforms we're at MJs Hemp, and that's EMJAYZE. So it's a little twist on what it sounds like. MJs Hemp on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, but we're probably most active on Instagram.
There you go. There you have it. Go follow them right meow. They've got the business, and they're doing really cool stuff in the community, and you will see them throughout the nation, I'm sure, in less than you know it. So I'm really excited. I'm stoked, and I'm so happy that you came on today. I had a great time with you. And, of course, we always have to end the Sanja Ganja show on a positive note. So once you replace your negative thoughts with positive thoughts, you will create positive results. All right, guys, remember to eat your veggies, meditate, medicate, be a good person. Until then, stay high, America. Appreciate you, dog.
Dope.